like how is this debate going to be like do we just go at each other, or like are there like a set of questions that we debate upon?
Yeah, so yeah, we just take turns, I'll try to hear you out, you hear me out, and then,
Okay.
be cordial as possible, and then, whatever disagreements we have, we just hash it out until we can like find middle ground,
So like
pretty much.
are you like ready with the questions?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you like ready with the questions?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I thought like you were going first.
Yeah, I can go first. I have no issues. So
Yeah,
from my
sure.
stance, like, especially with that post, because I think I spoke with a lot of people, particularly that
Ah,
post.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Why
with
Catholic? Like, okay, yeah, sure.
yeah, white Catholics are not Christians. So I wanna like clarify. So
Um,
making sure like you understand where I'm coming from. So
yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
my understanding is that there's a distinction between Catholic and Christian, and I know a lot of people would argue otherwise. They're saying they're
I
kind
would.
of interchangeable. From what I spoke to somebody else regarding that post, he made the case that non-Catholics is who he's addressing to, and he considered one of them. And I say the same thing when it comes to the term Christians. We're just at opposite end on that thought. So I don't know if
I
you
would. Okay, I think I forgot the video that you were talking about. Could you like just send it to me? I'll just be a little bit more clear about it.
yeah, it's the one with like it's very short. It's like a 5-second video where it says when somebody says Catholics are not Christians, and it was like I think it was from the Incredibles 2 scene. While you look for the notification, what do you think about that, right? Like, do you see them as interchangeable, or do you see them as two different terminologies?
Okay, wait a minute. So let's like go back to the basics. So the point of your reel was that Catholics are not Christians, right?
Yeah, they're not one and the same, and from my
What do you
position.
mean by that? What do you mean one and not the same?
So we understand that I believe we have some similarities. So Jesus and the Father are the same one God.
Okay, wait. I have a question for you.
Yeah,
Why
sure.
do you think that Catholics are not Christians? Like, what makes Catholics different?
Okay, so on the basis of Christian, we can find that in Acts 9, if I'm not mistaken, where
Well,
it states that Christians are labeled as, or described really, followers of the way, and that's a callback to John.
could you like tag me, like, give me the verse?
Sure, I
I'm
can
pretty
find
sure
it.
Acts 9 is about Saul's conversion, so I don't think it's over there. Okay, let's leave that over there. What's the point that you're trying to make?
Okay, so it appears in Acts 9 verse 2, and then the same book, chapter 27 verse 4. So whenever you're ready. Yeah, so Christians is a very it's just a descriptor, it's a
Do you know what the word Christian means?
Yeah,
It
I'm
just means
describing
little
it right now.
Christ.
Wait, hold on.
Exactly.
Right, right. So the word comes from Christos or Christos, right? And it's Christ-like. It's a derogatory term used by a couple of people to, belittle those that follow Christ, which is simultaneously him being the way, That's what I'm
Yeah,
referring to Acts 9.
absolutely.
So just
And very good Catholics don't follow this description of a Christian.
yeah, that's from my argument. So just on that minimal basis, that's what was essentially a Christian. Now, however, there is some discrepancies when it comes to that because there are some people that can claim to follow Christ, but they could be misinformed. I think
I
we can agree
agree.
on that. Okay, so
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so that's the big idea. So obviously we have to have like a method in order to be like, okay, this is a claim you're making, Christian,
I know.
and
So
this
like
is how I
there
can
must be
verify it.
boundaries. I get it.
Mhm.
There must be boundaries on what is a who is a Christian and who isn't. I
Correct.
guess that's the point that you're trying to.
From the Catholic standpoint, like I've studied it a bit. I even studied relatively recently, I guess late last year and this year, it was church history.
I mean, have you heard of that quote?
What quote?
A little knowledge is worse than no knowledge. That you can be misinformed about Catholicism.
Yeah, true. That could be said for anything. However, like most oftentimes when I make like a what's that way an analysis, I get often told in response like I disagree, but rather than saying that, it's like, oh no, that's not how what we think. But when we go to what's being dogmatic pronounced from that, I'm representing it quite well. It's just they severely disagree with the assessment.
Okay. Could we
Hmm.
like calm down on the wording over there? I'm quite not getting you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Every time when I make, let's say, like a understanding of the faith when it doesn't seem
Wait,
palatable,
wait, wait,
like,
wait, wait.
presented well, I get told that I'm understanding incorrectly, which most oftentimes I'm not.
Okay, so could you give me some examples?
Sure. So one good example is the origin point, because that's we're really talking about, like when uh, our faiths derive from. So
Okay, yeah,
from
sure.
the Catholic perspective, and I've done like a study between Matthew 16:18, because this is one of the contingent points to for somebody to be a Catholic or not.
Have you read the Catechism?
Some parts. I've taken some notes on it. Their understanding is that Peter is the first pope, from interpreting that the rock that's being mentioned in to be Peter himself.
And
Yes.
and I think it's Matthew 18 or 19 where
Yeah.
Jesus Christ gives Peter the keys to heaven. And then I think there's a verse that states, whatever you bound on earth will be bound in heaven, which relates to the ex cathedra statement. Do you get it?
Well, actually, if you look at Matthew 18, it doesn't mention Peter receiving that. It actually mentions the church as like the group of
No.
believers receiving it. Yeah, you could double check it right now. Matthew 18.
Okay, wait, wait.
Matthew 16, Peter is being addressed, right? But if you actually go to Matthew 18:18, read three verses before and afterwards, you actually don't see Peter given this.
Okay, wait.
And it's verses like 16 to like 20.
Okay, I kind of get the point that you're going with over here.
Yeah, so
But
understand.
again, church tradition.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold
sure,
on.
go
So
ahead.
so hold on from like, let me finish like fleshing this out. So
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
so I would not disagree with you if every instance, or solely even just one instance, if one instance, like if it was just Matthew 16, I will have a tough time disagreeing with it, because the text clearly show that it seems like out of all the other apostles, Peter is the focus point. But two chapters later, we see that this authority is not seclusive to the person. Instead, as church, we have things that if we were to establish something binding, or releasing something like forgiving debts and sins and transgressions to a lower extent, that has been given to any believer, Peter included. I guess I'll just finish it with this comment, then I'll wait for you to respond to it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
The idea is, if it was going to be a dogmatic, right, and the catechism, where this is basically like law said and done, if we actually try it, we there has to be some form of reconciliation as to as in, from my perspective, it looks like it's a misunderstanding, a misapplication, that solely we make Peter the Pope when this authority is not exclusive to him. So this is like a discrepancy from that end.
Okay, I think do you remember the chapter in Acts, okay, where they had to like find a new apostle, like instead of Judas, they needed to like, find a new apostle.
Oh yeah, the very first chapter, they
Exactly.
yep.
They prayed together, I think that I just wanted to like clear up things, yeah.
Mhm.
Like it might not be related to the topic, but still like like it might be close, yeah. So that's where we get the idea of apostolic succession.
Yeah, I know from what I've seen and experienced, I've seen that you guys appoint selectively. However, Acts one
Yeah,
selectively, like
sure.
you choose like, okay, this
Okay,
person.
yeah, sure. Tell
Yeah,
me
yeah.
how.
But if you look in Acts one, which is you're referring to, which is pretty relevant to this conversation, you can actually see the next apostle, Matthias. The only reason he
Okay,
became the apostle wasn't because
it's
like,
because the Holy Spirit chose him.
no, they actually casted lots. You know what that means?
No,
Yeah, you
I
can
know,
look
I
it
know.
up.
Like I know it's like a conclave. But again, I think there's a verse which states that the Holy Spirit came upon the following chosen person, and that's how they chose them.
Oh, let's see. I'll pull up X because they actually use
Yes,
probability.
I'm pretty
X
sure that.
X. Okay, here it is. There, starting at verse 21. Therefore, it is necessary to choose one of the men who have been with us the whole time the Lord Jesus was living among us.
Wait, wait, wait. What verse is this? What verse is
Starting at
this?
verse 21.
Okay.
Okay, and now I'm on 22. Beginning from John's baptism to the time Jesus was taken up, for one of these must become a witness with us of his resurrection. So they nominated two men,
Hmm.
Joseph called Barabbas, also as Justus, and Matthias. So they had two options. So
And
they
then they all prayed. Yeah. See that?
then they prayed, Lord, you know everyone's heart. Show us which of these two you have chosen. So take
Exactly.
yeah. So take over this apostolic ministry, which Judas left to go where he belongs. Then they cast lots, and the lot fell to Matthias, so he was added to the
Okay.
11
See,
apostles.
again, I think I think you're forgetting a main point over here.
I think I hear some dogs in the background. Okay, you're good.
Okay, don't mind the dogs. You know, I just can't do anything about it. Acts 124. Then they all prayed. Thus, they are putting the responsibility of choosing whom to, who was going to replace Judas on God. Do you get the idea over there? So they are not just basing their whole way of choosing the next apostle on the basis of probability. They are praying to the Lord. Do you see where I'm going with this? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I agree with you. They tossed lots
Hmm.
to choose, but at the end of the day, it's God who chose. Yeah. How could people just randomly select Matthias all of a sudden?
No,
It's
it's
more
not.
of a God doing His thing.
Yeah, it's not random. Is that I want to highlight the important thing that you're saying because it involves humans, but it's not humans who are ultimately making that call, correct?
What are you talking about? Yeah, I agree. It's not humans who are making the call. It's
Yeah,
God who
the
decides.
final decision.
Through humans who decides.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course. So from Apollo succession, right? It's
Yeah.
not the apostles taking one of their disciples to become an apostle. It's strictly God, correct?
Could you rephrase it?
Yeah, so if I was to say, okay, God, I want to marry a wife. I'm giving an example. If I want to marry a wife and I have like 10 available for me, I'm not the one
Yeah.
who's making the decision if I'm giving that authority to God to choose for me, correct?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
What I'm trying to highlight here is that apostolic succession has like a structure where the only ones who can be apostle if they were a direct disciple from one of the apostles.
Okay. 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 Yeah. That is true. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
contingency here, right? Or I guess my
You do
rebuttal.
realize that I think you gotta be if you see it, then yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Never mind.
Yeah,
Never
okay.
mind.
So my rebuttal here, right, is that there's a prerequisite, like this is required before you can become an apostle, right? Which
Yeah.
which isn't necessary because at the end of the day, like that shouldn't get in the way who God chooses to be an apostle,
Again.
right?
Okay. See. I
Right?
mean, think of it like this. Let's say a random person let's say he's a believer in Christ, back in the day, like 100 AD. Yeah.
Hmm.
He doesn't know anything about Christ. Now, do you think all of them should be counted in for let's say to be chosen as the next I just turned on my Alexa. Do you think almost every random man should be at least given a shot at becoming the pope? Do you think that would make sense? Because if God really had someone in mind who he wanted who he wanted to make pope, he
Hmm.
would have been a disciple. It's God who works through men. Yeah, do you get my point over here?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from,
Because
but like,
back in the day, there were many heresies, so you couldn't trust people that much.
yeah,
That's why
true.
I think that was the reason.
True, but like that doesn't get in the way of the selection being done by God exclusively. Like,
Okay.
let's say, right, if you grab like 10 to 100, right, and just think of a number,
Yeah.
the worry of like, are we gonna make sure like this person is going to be what God is going to appoint? That worry is not on us anymore. If we actually choose ours for ourselves instead of God, then that exactly happens. What you're talking about has happened because
How
in
do you think?
wait,
Okay.
hold on. Let
Tell
me
me.
finish that thought. Let me finish that.
Okay.
So the reason why that actually happened is a lot of times, I wouldn't even put a number on it. A lot of times people would ask certain things specifically, especially like this, like a pastor or a priest or whatever, and they do it on their own rather than God, assuming that God choose for them. So I want to like highlight that, and I want to give you like two examples. First things first, God, when He picked His disciples, it started from a large group of numbers, and it got reduced down to 12, and one of them was a traitor.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know that.
this is to highlight that even when God was quoting, He wasn't concerned, or really not quoting, just saying the scriptures and teaching from beginning to end His ministry. He wasn't worried about one the numbers because He's still choosing, And when he chose Judas, he didn't respond in that same retrospect, and he ended up still betraying Christ regardless with his will,
Maybe.
right?
Okay, think of it like this. Maybe Christ chose Judas because he was necessary for him to be sacrificed. Don't you no? Don't you think that could be a relation over there
Wait, sacrifice in terms of what?
on the cross? So Christ knew that it
Mm,
was all going to happen. That's why he chose Judas to do it.
okay, you're arguing for like predetermination.
No, no, no. Please don't.
Wait, because I'm confused. Like, so you're saying like he chose Judas because he knew that he was gonna betray him, and so that's why he chose him.
There would have to be someone who would betray him, right? And I don't think God did, like, for the mere reason of Judas. Okay, I think I can word this better. I don't think God chose Judas, like, to specifically betray him. I think God chose Judas because Judas stick with God or like stuck with God, like, Christ. He was there with Christ, yeah. And then at the last moment, he betrayed him. I mean, Judas probably didn't even think that it was a very big deal. Yeah,
Well,
so that's one reason for it.
that the thing is there's a lot of assumptions in there because you're saying a lot of I don't think like that's not based on like certainties. What I can tell you, however,
Yeah,
is
sure.
that there's a lot of factors that we're missing out. For one,
Again, okay,
wait, hold on, hold on.
again.
And let me list them out, and then you can respond. For one, right? Judas was possessed, and so like
Yeah,
that is
I
also a
agree.
factor that a lot of conversations are not implementing that. Two,
I
right? Two,
Yeah, sure, go on.
in the Old Testament, it's been prophesied that Jesus will get betrayed, but it gets a little bit more specific up until that point. So he literally lets his disciples know that one of you will betray me, and you can tell that all the 11 responded with Lord or God, is it me? And then Judas
Even
says
Judas did.
teacher. Like Judas specifically says teacher instead of master. So even in his heart, it reflects off of the text that he did not consider Jesus as God. Go ahead.
Okay, one more thing that I just wanted to add. What does this have to do with anything about, like, the Clement of Rome or the Pope,
Well,
papacy?
before we get to that, your concern was like if we choose these people, would it
Yeah,
be concerning for heresies and errors and stuff like that? Even
yeah.
when Jesus was gathering, there was a traitor amongst them from the very beginning. So like that you can't avoid. We
Wait,
should try to avoid it, but it's not us to determine that outcome, is what I'm trying to
exactly,
say.
and that's the thing. The 12 apostles weren't Christ. They didn't know who had perfect theology or like proper theology, I should put it, or like who was a heretic. So that's why people came together and decided that let's let only the students or the disciples of the apostles who like basically lived with Christ go and try to have the try to be in the papal office. Yeah, that's what my argument would be. Of course there would be heretics, but how do you think mere men could know about it? you know that was like a
Um,
precaution sort of thing.
well, you're still like relying on just individuals to make that choice. Like it's ultimately not even up to us. Actually, there's many instances in the New Testament where like somewhere in Acts where Peter's opinion wasn't actually factor in, and if he was supposed to be the one ruling overarching, that shouldn't have happened in any context from your position.
What? Sorry, could you like repeat that?
Yeah, there was a specific church that they were making a decision. Peter
Yeah.
said something and they literally disregarded according to the text. So
Could you
to
like show me that?
yeah, sure. It's between Peter, Paul, and I believe it was another.
So it's an Acts, I guess.
I believe so. It's been a while. I think it's like building up to like him arguing with Paul or just after. It was either Acts or somewhere in the letters. I'm thinking like maybe Timothy, somewhere between them. See if I can find it.